All right, we've got about 23 people on here so far. That's pretty good. So we're going to get started, and we're asking that everyone please go ahead and mute yourselves so that we don't get any feedback. If you can, please and thank you. And my name is Chelsea Conaway. I'm doing the setup, and then I'm going to step away and turn it over in about 1 minute. So can you guys still hear? So please reply in your chat feature. I'm hoping you will be muted by now. Okay. All right. Thank you for replying and so promptly. Can you guys see my face? I want to make sure I don't make any funny faces at you guys. Okay. Awesome. So let me make sure I'm going to mute you guys. Okay, can you still hear me talking? If so, please indicate yes in your chat feature.
I can hear you.
Great, I can hear you too. I don't know how. This is our first time doing a webinar. So we're so excited that you guys could join us. And we are going to go ahead and get started. It's 2 o'clock. We want to be respectful of your time. And so, again, if you have not muted yourself, please do so. And we're going to get this party started. And if you have any questions, then you can also submit that through your chat feature. I'm now going to turn it over to Thomas Nix, and he is our awesome community outreach director. There's some housekeeping stuff on there he's going to talk to you about now.
Good afternoon, everyone. As she said, I'm Thomas Nix, and I'm the Community Outreach Director here at Palmetto Community Action Partnership. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome you guys for taking time out of your schedules to be here with us. And to thank you, for doing this and being a part of Palmetto CAP's Disrupt Poverty Initiative. So what we're going to do today, Miss Reba Hough-Martin is going to be talking with you guys, and I hope you get a lot out of this and share a lot with us. And I just want to welcome you. I'm going to be turning it over here in just a moment to Savannah Murray. She's our executive coordinator, and she's going to go with this today's agenda. This is one of our first webinars in our initiative, and I hope that you guys will spend some time with us. We're going to actually be doing this throughout the year, so this will be one of a few that's going to be coming up. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. As you can see, I'm working my way through here, and so just bear with me. I'm going to turn this over now to Savannah Murray. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. So glad to have you with us again today. I'm going to be introducing Miss Reba Hough-Martin. She is really awesome, but I know I can't leave it at awesome. So Miss Reba is a nationally certified ROMA trainer, which stands for Results-Oriented Management and Accountability. She holds many other certifications, and she's been awarded Program Director of the Year as well as South Carolina Community Action Presidential Award. And she's worked in community action for the better half of her quarter century, and she's our deputy director here at Palmetto CAP. She keeps us straight, makes sure all the programs run awesome. So I know that you guys are going to get a lot from this webinar today, and I will turn it over to Ms. Reba.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar. And so this is the third step on our journey to disrupt poverty. I'll put in my disclaimer right now. I am not the ultimate authority on program planning. I will share what I know. I'm sure there are lots of people out there that have other good ideas, and we are formulating ways to capture your ideas also and have some of you participate in our webinars in the future. We're just here to share some nuggets along the way on our journey. So the question is, where are you currently on your journey in program planning? Is it a concept? Is it a new program? Is it an established program? Perhaps it's a program you've been running for many, many years, and it's time to refresh the program. So first of all, think about the program that you have in mind and where you are right now. And this is my joke. And so this is a group of people, this is the board. And so the outcome, the plan is to disrupt poverty. And the steps are get the funds, abracadabra, and presto. And the comment is, I think we have to add some more detail to our plan. So we can't rely on magic to accomplish our goals. We have to actually sit down and think about what we're doing and what we're planning. And the first question is, how do we know when we're successful? So your organization will be tracking how many lives will be changed and how the community will be improved. But how do you really know that the results that you're getting are what you expect, and are they realistic? And so how would you know your rate of success? We'll look at some measures of successful results from different industries. So first of all, when we talk about baseball, and I believe we've started baseball season, and if a team has batters who have an average of 30, point 30, they know they will win games. Why? Why, if they have that batting average, do we know that they will do well as a hitter? Well, and this number lets us know that how many times they hit the ball and get on the base. 1 out of 3 times at bat. And so the overall performance will mean winning games. So that's the batting average. So, and baseball tells us this because it has a clearly defined performance record, and they have analyzed this data over time. They've developed benchmarks of excellence on the analysis, and they've actually publicized what is good and what is bad, and so the public actually knows. Let's look at some other industries. How many movies do you think are successful and make a profit? How many out of 6? How many music recordings make a profit? In baseball, what is a superstar and what is a successful hitter? In movies, 1 out of 6 or 17% actually make a profit. Music recordings, 5%. Baseball, 1 out of 3 is a superstar. And then if you hit 1 out of 4, you're a successful batter. So what if we were successful 25% of the time, or 5% of the time, or 17% of the time? How would you know what success really is? So with our performance standards, it can't be arbitrary. It has to be something that we're committed to collecting over time. You have to collect the data, you have to analyze the data to determine what really is possible and realistic in your industry. So moving on to the program planning, you have several areas that you have to think about. First of all, you have to define what is it exactly that you are able to do as an organization at this time. You have to design your program, then you deploy and implement the program. You have to evaluate the things that are being done, and then you may have to refine them, because we can't always think about everything before we start. So you're human, so expect to evaluate and refine the program. And so when we look at result-oriented activities, you start at the bottom. And the bottom is identifying needs and resources of the community. And then your agency has to prioritize their needs based on the mission and vision. So you have to align what the community needs with the scope of the agency and the capabilities of the agency. And then you identify your outcomes and indicators where you want to go and align those with the agency priorities and the community assessment. And then you develop your services and activities. And so that's how you really build a successful program. Starting with mission and vision. A mission statement defines the company's business, its objectives, and its approach to reach those objectives. A vision statement describes the desired future position of the company. And elements of both these statements are often combined for the purpose and the goals and values. And so looking at what resources you might have, and automatically when we say resources, a lot of people think about money, but there's lots of things that you may have that are resources that are not monetary. You have these things on this slide shows you you have people, you have space, you have experience. And perhaps if you had a program just based on your reputation in the community, people would come because it's you hosting it. So you have to take the strength-based approach to evaluating the resources that you have. And so this is an example. We have an imaginary virtual ultimate after-school program that we'll be using as examples. So we talked about mission and vision. So for this example, this is our mission for our ultimate after-school program: to provide support to the families of the ultimate middle school to increase academic excellence through tutorials, mentorships, and partnerships. And then the vision is the ultimate middle school children to have the highest reading levels in the school district. And you see the mission is a little bit more specific, where the vision is a little bit more broad and far-reaching. The mission tells you how you're going to accomplish the goals that you're trying to reach, where the vision is more of has more of a broader scope. When you're looking at your goals, what type of goals are you looking at? Is it an individual type family goal? Is it a community goal? Is it an organizational goal? With the family goal, it might be something individual, such as helping people to accomplish their high school diplomas for a group of dropouts. It could be, you could help people to finish their college diplomas. You could do something more individual where the family would benefit. In a community goal, you're looking at the community as a whole, such as if we were to take this same tutorial program that we're doing, you could look at, especially if you had the school as a center of a small community, you would say that the success of the children in this school would benefit the entire community. So these children make up the majority of the middle schoolers in the community. And so if you were to make a big difference in their reading levels, you're affecting their academic excellence as a community. So that could be a community goal. An organizational goal is something more specific to your organization to help you accomplish the mission that you put out. So if you want to increase your footprint in whatever the project is, you might want to say that you want to increase your fundraising by 20%. And so that's the difference in a family community, and organizational goal. So the next thing we want to look at is what are the needs? And your needs assessment doesn't have to be anything super fancy. You just want to basically understand the audience that you want to reach. And like I said, planning is something that really saves you down the road, because at least in the planning group and the community, we really need to know, what are we looking at? What are we trying to do? You know, we want to do good things in the community. We want to be good stewards of our resources. And so you want to, first of all, decide who is our target audience. You might have primary customers and secondary customers. So you have, you might have different people that you have to partner with in order to make this successful. With the needs assessment, you want to look at statistics, surveys, focus groups, key informants, and have different things and not rely on one specific thing for your needs assessment. And you want to be as specific as possible. So with our example in our ultimate after school program, our target audience primarily would be the children, but secondarily, we would need the parent support to enroll the children in our daycare and in our after school program. And we would want them to support the efforts to make sure they did whatever homework or whatever they needed to do. And you'd have the teachers also. So what if we identified in our reading assessment that the children aren't doing well because there's some gap in the second grade or the third grade, and then after that everybody kind of fell off the ledge. So we would talk to the second and third grade teachers and see if we could work with them to overcome that gap. The principal, of course, would have to support whatever we're doing. And then what about the feeder schools? What if we can start them at a higher level, so when they came to our middle school, their level wouldn't be as low. Or we could work with them over the summer before they started at our middle school. So these are just some examples of primary and secondary target audiences. And then same thing with the needs. With the needs, if you are looking at statistics for our after school program, we want to look at the achievement rates for the county. We want to, for the school district, we want to look at the average standardized school test scores for the school in the county. We would want to look at the reading scores from the prior year, so we would know what is rational and reasonable. For surveys, we could talk to the students, the parents, as well as the teachers, and then we could have focus groups of the fifth graders that are about to leave to share with us what things they wish had gone better, or why they don't think they have performed as well. And maybe there's a group that has performed well and a group that didn't. You can find out what's the difference and why. First grade students, you can talk to them and try to get them encouraged about learning and reading. Talk to community volunteers that can come and help read to your kids in the program. Key informants, successful sixth graders that have moved on and that can help change your numbers. Successful students in model programs. You can look at other programs and see what makes those programs successful. Best practices, what are the key elements of the other after-school programs in your area that are successful for those after-school programs in other schools? So those are the type things that you want to study so that you would have better knowledge of the community that you're working with, and that also helps you to build trust. And then when you consider the kinds of services that your program will provide, are they short-term and crisis-focused, or are they designed for long-term results like self-sufficiency? So are you Have you taken into account a full range of community and family needs and other resources in the community? And you don't want to just do what you've always done. And so this is the difference between giving someone a fish and teaching someone how to fish and priming the pond. And so you want to think about this on the front end so that you can save yourself some time and energy on the back end, with the understanding that we don't have a crystal ball. And then you want to be more than program service providers, programs that are organized to meet specific short-term services, such as emergency and transportation, others, and sometimes they serve many customers, and the challenge is finding long-term change. And sometimes it's based on funding. It's only because that's the type of funding that's available, and it can distract you from more effective selection of services and strategies. And just to put a note right there, because when there is a need for basic needs funding, and so basic needs programs. And if you are not able to have a long range of programs to get people to the more strategic thinking model, that's okay. And that's why we have partnerships, because basic needs are really important. So if people are hungry, you need to feed them. If that's what your specialty is, feed them, and then you can perhaps partner with other people that are doing some of the long range planning. If they continue to come to you in an emergency situation where you see that it's not a short-term crisis for them, then it would be good to have those referrals in place, have those available, have someone to come speak with them perhaps, but please don't stop with the short-term services. In our agency, we have a combination of services. And so we try to do a little of both. And so when we are talking about the strategic thinking model, we're looking at the development of comprehensive strategies, and they must include the power of bundling services rather than providing services that meet an isolated need. So you want to put as much as you can in that one visit, because it takes people a lot to get to your organization sometimes. We've heard that some people are spending $20 and $30 and $40 coming from the rural areas trying to get our services. And so that's why we do community rollouts, and we will identify organizations that we partner with that allow us to come and serve people in those communities. And we don't get everybody, but we're trying to mitigate those transportation issues. Organizations must find a way to identify the combination of services that's most effective for helping people change lives and support their movement out of poverty. When we're talking about goals, our goals really need to be SMART. And when we say SMART, it means that they should be specific, significant, and stretching, measurable, meaningful, and motivational, agreed upon, achievable, action-oriented. They need to be realistic, reasonable, rewarding, time-based, time-bound, tangible, and trackable. So SMART. If you can remember specific, measurable, agreed upon, realistic, and time-based, you'll be doing really good. So when we look at our ultimate after-school program, the goal that we have is 80% of the children enrolled in the after-school program will read on grade level before the end of the third quarter. So this is our test. Is it specific? Yes. I would know how many children at the end of the third quarter met this goal or not. So it's specific and measurable. We will make sure that it's agreed upon. Is it realistic? I don't know. When we did our needs assessment, and if 30% of the children were reading on grade level, it would not be realistic. If 60% of the children were reading on grade level, it would be realistic. So that's why you have to make sure you have a needs assessment to see where people are before you can take them where they want to be and where you want them to be. And is it time-based? Yes, by the end of the third quarter, we'll know if we're successful or not. So that is an example of a SMART goal. So a logic model is something that we use to put all these things together, because we've talked about a lot of things. And so with this logic model, we have our goal at the top, we have our mission at the bottom. When we talked about resources and inputs, we need a curriculum. This is again for our after-school program. We have a curriculum space, tutors, computers, support from parents, teachers, and students. And then what are the needs? Our reading levels are low. We lack homework assistance. We don't have, our kids at our school don't have books to read at home. Activities. I think we should have a reading challenge. Some parents said that they thought their kids would read more if they had free books at home. Some of the teachers thought that the kids needed more experience in test-taking strategies, so we'll get someone to help them with that. In our computer room, we wanted to have more ebooks, one-on-one computer tutorials, and PTA advisory group, just to kind of bounce some things off and see if we're going in the right direction. What are the outputs? We would have scores for the start and end of our program. We'd have daily, weekly progress reports. And so what are our outcomes? Well, we think that we can't wait till the end of the third quarter to see if people are where we need them to be. So we'll have little benchmarks along the way. So by the end of the first quarter, we'd like for everyone to have read 45 minutes in addition to their regular homework in a week's time. And then at the end of the second quarter, 60 minutes. At the end of the third quarter, 90 minutes. And we feel like that'll help them increase their reading levels. And so what's the midterm benefits? We would hope that they would increase their reading levels by 65%, 75%, 80%, and 80% by the end of the first, second, and third quarters. And what's your impact? We want to improve their placement in middle school, so when they go to high school, then they'll be able to take higher level courses. We improve their standardized test scores and their grades, and we improve their test taking confidence. And those are things that can be tested and proven. So as a reward for listening to us today and getting to this point, we want to share some additional resources with you. And we want you to make sure you know about the Small Business Administration. They have a learning center, and there's education on there where you can work on your specific goals for your project or organization. Specifically, they talk about how to start your business in 10 steps, courses on how to launch, manage, and grow your business, and they have grant programs. And then Together SC is, and I have the website listed for you. They have a membership that starts at $100. They also have blogs. They have tools and resources. They have educational webinars and conferences. And then SCORE is the Service Corps of Retired Executives for Charleston. And so that's in their website is listed there also. And they have volunteer mentors and workshops, and also a library.
About what's going on.
If you're not already muted, could you please mute yourself?
Like an online meeting thing.
And we're doing, the next we have is a review.
Something up for me.
And so
if
I know. And then, so if you remember, the elements of program planning are define, design, deploy, evaluate, and refine. And then we talked about what is your mission, your vision. We talked about the needs assessment. What's our target audience? What is a SMART goal? And we introduced the logic model. So Chelsea sent you all a little test, and so if you would just answer in the chat room, what are the 5 steps of the program planning? It's define, design, deploy, evaluate, and what? What is the last one? Who has the answer? Ooh. Somebody's replying. What do they say? They say, chat, hold on, we're chatting. Okay. There you go. Refine. Great. Ding, 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 ding. That's great. Okay. And then the next question is result-oriented program planning activities start with what step? What do you need to know before you get started? What do you want to know about the community? Community needs assessment. Ding, 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 ding. You guys are really on the ball. And what 2 kinds of statements will help you determine what you ultimately hope to accomplish? So this is something you would do with your planning group or board. What is it? There's 2 things. What are those things? There's 2 of them. Mission and vision. Ding, 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 ding. We got some Cracker Jacks on here.
Yes,
So which of the following is not a resource you'll need to identify in strength-based program planning? That was in the, it's on your sheet. So those of you that got the sheet, let's see, does anybody have a sheet?
it's the Chipotle hours of operation. You don't actually need that. Get it? That's a trick question.
That was Chelsea. I just want to say that. With SMART goals are specific, measurable, agreed upon, and what? That's the S, the M, the A. So what's the R word? Because the T word is time-based. Realistic. Oh, very good. Very good. Awesome. So what should you not rely on to accomplish your goals?
Not rely on this. It does not work.
Remember the picture. It's a picture.
Magic.
That's
Exclamation
right.
point.
Exclamation point. There you go.
It doesn't work. It doesn't help.
So true or false logic models are useless, only used to cause pain and hardship.
We're going to say that's false.
False. Everyone agrees that that is false. Very good. So you guys are paying attention. I meant to tell you to put your note outside, because when I do webinars, I have a note, and the note says, do not knock unless someone is dead, dying, or on fire.
And then you call 911.
Yeah, and then you really need to call 911 and not me. So this was awesome. Super fun times. Oh, yeah. And so that's another Chelsea collection that we put in there. Yeah. So Chelsea's going to tell you more about the first steps, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us today and on this road to disrupting poverty. And we will be working together in our program planning efforts and trying to do more for the community that we're here to serve. I don't think this was coincidence that it's Monday, Thursday, and we are giving of ourselves for the betterment of our communities, and we appreciate your help and attention. So I'm handing it off to Chelsea, who will tell you more about what's to come.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Miss Reba. What awesome information. So I hope you guys were taking thorough notes, even in addition to your trick questions. So we did want to let you know what the next steps are. So of course, we're going to be sending you the recording of this webinar in case you had anyone in your office or anyone in your organization who was unable to make it. We're going to also be sending you the slide deck so that you can kind of dig a little bit deeper into the topics that were discussed. I also wanted to make sure that you know that we are doing this as a part of a series. So like I said, we didn't want to take up too much of your time today, just because we do plan on doing this again soon. And so the next workshop, or the next webinar, excuse me, is going to be on April the 19th. So that's a few Thursdays from now at 2 p.m. again, and we will be digging a little bit deeper into program development management evaluation, one of those awesome topics. And if you registered for this webinar through Eventbrite, then that means we're going to be adding you to our mailing list so that you will always be kept abreast of upcoming events online and in person. I also wanted to let you guys know a little bit more about the Disrupt Poverty initiative that we have. And so we wanted to make sure that as we approach a run up to 2020, that we had a really thorough and comprehensive community needs assessment process that was radically inclusive. So, you know, if you guys are familiar with Palmetto Community Action Partnership, pretty much every year we would call and we do surveys and focus groups and stakeholder interviews. And we would do this with thousands of people and really get to kind of know what they thought our agency could do better, what services they thought that they might like. And so this year we just decided we wanted to just really kind of turn it up a notch even more and make our programs even more accessible, make this process even more inclusive. Radically inclusive, in fact, is the term that we keep using, in addition to our existing term of having maximum feasible participation. And so Disrupt Poverty is that process in which we're going to just be assessing what the community's needs are, sharing that information with everyone in the community so that whether you're a Palmetto CAP partner or program participant or board member, you can still take that information and pull from it what you can use to actually make your own programming better, whether it's for your church or your bike club or whatever, your PTA, that you can use that and use it accordingly. And also we want to make sure that we are developing community partnerships. And we didn't just want to do that for our own agency, because we've got more than 100 community partners already whom we love and who we think like us pretty much. But we also wanted to make sure that we're having events, real life, in-person events, where you all can connect with each other. And so in February, we had an event where we had about 200 or so people come and just do team building activities and just do community needs assessment. And we tried to make it really, really fun and interactive, and then also provide some education for them about what community needs were surrounding different populations in poverty. So we want to continue to develop and help you all develop amongst yourselves community partnerships. And then our last real goal for the Disrupt Poverty Initiative is to really strengthen and enhance the skill sets of people who are interested in ending poverty. And so for those of us who work in more formal environments, we're able to go to things like trainings, we're able to go to, you know, get different degrees and certifications that support the education that we have in program planning and development and community organizing and that kind of stuff. But for people who may be working with a different type of environment, whether it's with your church group or your neighborhood community council, anything like that, we want to make sure that you also have access to that same information. And so the best way that we figured we could do that was by providing webinars like these and then also some in-person events. So just so you know, that's kind of why we're doing this. I know it's kind of random to just see, you know, our team start doing these things, but it didn't come out of the blue. We program plans, and this is what we came up with. So in addition to April 19th, on May the 10th, we will be having a workshop called Insufficient Funds, which is a virtual poverty simulation that we do, and that's going to be on Johns Island. And again, we will let you know about that. So one thing we didn't have on here we forgot to add, but we did build time for, was a question and answer portion. So at this time, if you have any questions for Miss Reba, we ask that you put it in the chat feature, and we're going to be checking that now so that she can address them. Again, if there's anything that we do not address today, we do hope to address it in the future, in future webinars. And this is just a reminder that you can find this information and everything else we're doing with Disrupt Poverty by going to palmettocap.org/disruptpoverty, or just by looking at the Disrupt Poverty SC hashtag. So now we're just going to go ahead and chat. Are we going to share the slide deck? Yes. Yes, we will. We like sharing. Sharing is caring. Okay, can you give more information on the meeting you just mentioned? Okay, so with insufficient funds, it is a workshop that we do where we want people to know the difficult choices that families that have limited income are forced to make. So over the course of about 2.5 hours, we gather people in a room and we talk about, if I was a family member and I had $1,000 and I had to find housing, how would I make that determination as to where I would live? Or if I had to go grocery shopping, how is it that I'm determining what food that I get? And so whenever we do, whether it's our virtual simulation or our actual full-scale poverty simulation, then we are always looking to see why people make the choices that they make. If you've never lived in poverty, you've never worked with a family in poverty, it can be very difficult to understand why people make the choices that they make, and the kind of, we give you a chance to walk in their shoes for about an hour or so.
It's a good training for first time.
It's a great training for new staff. We love doing it. We go all over the place and do it. We do it a lot for churches, colleges. We did it with our friends at SCE&G. They actually did the virtual simulation and the full-scale simulation. And it's really, really fun. It's a fun way to talk about poverty. Poverty is not a fun topic, but we try to make it engaging and fun and eye-opening, and so that's why we're having it. If there's any workshop that you've heard about that you would actually like for us to come and present to you, we do workshops on demand. They're free for nonprofits and church groups. So all you'd have to do is contact us at palmettocap.org, and we could get you something booked just in case you cannot attend the event on May 10th.
Topics on the website too.
Oh yeah, we have a listing of all of our topics too, with in-depth descriptions of them. You can also go on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can actually see people kind of doing this. We don't make you do anything too crazy. So in case you're wondering what's happening, you can actually go on there and see. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any more, which I guess is a good sign. But if you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask. If you haven't thought of any, and you're like me and it's going to hit you when you're driving home, then you can always just email Miss Reba, and Miss Reba's email is RHOUGH-Martin, MARTIN, at palmettocap.org, and we will include that in your follow-up materials. So you don't have to write that down if you didn't catch it. Okay, so so if you don't have any more questions, we're going to go ahead and adjourn. And we just wanted to thank you all for being such awesome program participants and webinar attendees. And so you guys are the bee's knees. Thank you so much. I hope that you heard something that you can use. And if you have any other topics you want to suggest, just let us know. We're always open to suggestions. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
I hope you can see us. If not, we're just waving at the camera like crazy people. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.